What's a black woman doing here? I hope it's not what I'm thinking, Ben.
Ben was looking nervous, and that bothered me. His father's words sounded racist, and seeing Ben nervous like that made me aware of what was happening.
Dad, I need you to be respectful, please. I love Tina, and I want to marry her. We're engaged already. Believe me, she's a good girl. Marry her? Are you in your right senses? Have you even given the cultural differences a thought? How sure are you that she's not here for your money? Don't be an idiot, Ben.
Please, don't scold him, sir. I promise you. I love your son. I love him with all of my heart. We've talked about the culture, and we're ready to adjust.
You know you won't, liar. You're just going to have 1 or 2 kids for him before you divorce and take all of his money. I know how your kind acts to whites. Ben, did she bewitch you with her black magic?
My father-in-law was very vocal about her dislike for me, especially my skin color. My name's Tina, and I'm Kenyan. I met Ben 3 years ago. I was working at a restaurant as one of the head chefs, but my boss was quite the abusive one. He didn't care about your position in the restaurant. He would lash out at the slightest provocation. On some occasions, he would hit us. One day, I'd unintentionally cooked something different from what was on the list, and that got my boss angry. He'd hurled all sorts of insults at me, but I didn't reply. I knew I was wrong, so I kept quiet. However, that had angered my boss. Apparently, he thought I was ignoring him by being quiet. As a result of that, he threw a steel pot at me. It hit me badly, but before I could react, I saw him grab another pot. In fear, I ran out of the kitchen. He followed me. Ben came in right when my boss threw the second pot at me, and he was quick enough to catch it before it hit me. He'd been so angry, even though we were only just strangers then. Out of anger and frustration, I quit immediately. I was fed up with putting up with his silly behaviors. Ben offered to give me a ride, and I didn't decline. He drove to the park and got us ice cream to help me relax. I felt so grateful and thanked him nonstop. He also took me home after we left the park. It seemed as though fate was bringing us together because after that day, we came across each other at a mall. We exchanged numbers then. Ben helped me get a better job after we became friends. I was happy. We were friends for almost a year before confessing our romantic feelings for each other. Then we began dating. After dating for 7 months, Ben proposed marriage to me. I was so happy. The love of my life wanted to be with me forever. I felt so happy that I cried. 2 days after the proposal, he took me to his family. I was surprised at how big their house was. When we were ushered in by his younger brother, I couldn't help but feel nervous. We both sat in the living room and waited for his parents to arrive. When they did, his father's face didn't hide his disgust.
What's a black woman doing here? I hope it's not what I'm thinking, Ben.
Ben was looking nervous, and that bothered me. His father's words sounded racist, and seeing Ben nervous like that made me aware of what was happening.
Dad, I need you to be respectful, please. I love Tina, and I want to marry her. We're engaged already. Believe me, she's a good girl. Marry her? Are you in your right senses? Have you even given the cultural differences a thought? How sure are you that she's not here for your money? Don't be an idiot, Ben.
Please, don't scold him, sir. I promise you. I love your son. I love him with all of my heart. We've talked about the culture, and we're ready to adjust.
You know you won't, liar. You're just going to have 1 or 2 kids for him before you divorce and take all of his money. I know how your kind acts to whites. Ben, did she bewitch you with her black magic?
I felt sad to hear that. He was being so unfair, and I was already getting teary. Ben noticed it and got angry.
Dad, I don't appreciate you speaking to her like that. She's my future wife, and we love each other. Can you respect that?
Let them be Ken. If Ben chose her, then we should believe in his choice. You know our son. He won't engage someone who isn't worth it.
Mom's right, Dad. She seems so kind and respectful. Let them be and give them your blessings. Never. This lady can't adjust to our culture. She's eventually going to leave Ben. I refuse to accept this.
We all watched as he stormed off and went straight to his room. Tears fell from my eyes. I was so sad. Not getting my soon-to-be father-in-law's approval made me feel so sad. His mother and brother were kind, though. They both comforted me.
Ignore him, okay? He's not always like this. He's just looking out for Ben due to some things he's seen. Don't mind him, darling.
I apologize on his behalf, Tina. He's really not like this. He will surely come around. We accept you, and we'll support you both.
Seeing how kind Ben's mother and brother were, I had a little hope. Maybe his dad will truly come around and accept us. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. When we began our wedding plans, I frequented Ben's family's house. His mom had issues with her legs, so she didn't go out often. Hence, I had to bring whatever I bought to their house to show her. Whenever I went to the house, my father-in-law would refuse to show himself. He would remain in his bedroom until I left the house. Once, I tried going into his room to talk to him.
Get out! Get out of my room, gold digger! I have no gold for you, so get out!
I was so scared when he yelled at me. I immediately ran out, bumping into Ben, who consoled me. Well, after spending quite a long time planning, we finally got married. However, my father-in-law nearly ruined the wedding. During the ceremony, someone burst through the door. When we all turned, it was my father-in-law. He walked straight up, grabbed the microphone, and said,
Ben, I told you not to marry this girl. You don't have my blessing. She is black and good for nothing. There's still time, so please let my son go, black woman.
I felt so embarrassed, as well as Ben. From his words, it was clear that he didn't support us. I ignored him like I used to, until I turned and saw Ben standing on the altar, holding a mic.
Dad, it's high time you stopped. Ever since I introduced Tina to you, you've been on her tail. Everything she does is bad for you. She's tried hard to gain your favor, yet you remain adamant. That's enough. Stop being racist to her.
I could hear murmurs from people in the crowd. Some were looking at me, and they seemed to pity me. My eyes itched with tears. I felt so bad to see so many people pitying me. I turned to my father-in-law, but I couldn't read his expression. He seemed both sad and unfazed. I decided to seize the opportunity to mend our relationship. I walked toward him and knelt down. I swear to you, sir, I love Ben. I'm not going to abandon him. Never. I love him a lot, sir.
Let go of me. You're only being like this because there are a lot of people here. I will never accept you. I'm leaving.
I sadly watched him leave the venue. My husband, his mother, and brother didn't go after him. We tried our best to push it aside and finish the wedding. Luckily, my wedding ended well and everyone returned home. I guess my mother-in-law talked enough sense into him. 2 months after my wedding, my father-in-law showed up in front of my house. He was looking like a lost dog. Ben isn't home, if you came for him.
No, I came for you, Tina. I want to apologize for treating you so badly. I know it's late now, but you have my blessings.
I was so happy. I ushered him into the house and made us tea. He told me how his wife and kids had put him through hell. They stopped talking to him and he felt like he was going insane. He had to see a therapist. It so happened that one of his friends married a nice, rich black woman, who turned out to be a much better partner than his ex-wife, who was white. This experience changed his views about black people, and he was truly sorry. I thanked him so much. We talked for a few more minutes before he finally left. I was the happy that day. Ben was also very happy that his father was finally supporting us. Things continued going smoothly until my sister suddenly introduced an American man as her husband. I didn't feel good about it. I dated American men twice before meeting Ben, who's British, and those relationships didn't last. I already saw them as players, and I couldn't allow my sister to get married to them. Besides, I knew a fellow Kenyan who'd been asking to marry my sister. I felt angry that she was leaving a man from our race for a white man. No! You can't marry him. He won't treat you well. How can you pick him over a good black man who's going to love you for who you are?
Excuse you? Tina, you have no right to choose my life partner for me. I don't remember ever telling you that I'm uncomfortable with my fiancé. Aren't you married to a white man? What the hell is your deal with mine?
Ben is different. He's not American, so he can't be like them. You're not marrying that man, and that's final.
You sound so ridiculous. I'm marrying him, and there's nothing you can do about it. If you get me angrier than this, then I'm going to cut you off. I don't care if you're my sister or not.
I felt so bad. My only sibling was threatening to cut me off her life. just for a stupid white man. I couldn't let him win. I needed to ensure they didn't get married. On the day of the wedding, when the priest asked about anyone who was against the wedding, I stood up and went over to the altar. This man here doesn't love my sister. He's simply experimenting with something with my sister. He's going to leave her and get married to a fellow white woman. Call off this wedding. My sister seemed to have had enough because she came over and slapped me hard across my cheeks before she asked a few men to drag me out. I felt so bad because Ben remained there with them. He couldn't even run after me. I channel my sadness into anger. The moment Ben returned home and walked to our bedroom, I rushed to him and slapped him. "You're so evil. You watched them embarrass me and kept quiet. I hate you." I slapped, kicked, and punched him until he was on the floor. He nearly passed out before I finally left him. I went over to a hotel to stay for a few days. About 2 weeks later, Ben found me and asked for a divorce.
I don't think we can be together anymore. My dad was like this toward you, and you felt so bad until he apologized. Why are you being racist toward your sister's husband? You either apologize to them or we end this thing between us.
I was consumed by anger. I refused to apologize to them. Never. When Ben began pressuring me, I was forced to hit him again. He didn't, for a second, try to hit me back. Well, eventually we got divorced. Everyone supported him, including my parents and my sisters. They all said I was wrong, but I couldn't find anything wrong in what I did. I tried to move back to my parents' house, but they refused. They said they couldn't allow a controlling racist in their lives. That itself made me angry. A controlling racist? Well, Ben was pretty enough to make them fire me from my workplace. I was left jobless and quite broke. I had to get a small apartment after a while of staying at the hotel. My family and Ben's family are still not speaking to me. Ben left the country, and his mother eyes me grudgingly whenever we cross paths. My friends have all abandoned me after hearing the story. I'm all alone, sad, and angry. Someone even posted my pictures online, tagging me as a racist and an HIV carrier, and now no one is asking me out, not even people of my own race. I now live with 4 cats and feel so lonely. Am I really a controlling racist? Or are they just being unkind and unfair to me?